What's up, it's George the Fragrance Apprentice. I promised myself that I would do one of these at least once, so here it is. Probably the only time I'll ever do a most complimented list, so I decided to do it of all time, and this is truly the most complimented fragrances that I've ever got. We've got a lot to get through. I cannot waste time talking to you, but all I'm going to say is this. It was a very interesting list to do, because usually my lists, going from 10 to 1 or whatever, they have a rhyme, they have a reason to them, they have a rhythm. There are some points in this list where it's just completely cuckoo land, and there's one fragrance and there's suddenly another fragrance, and it was quite disorientating, but it was a lovely challenge to do. I've never done a list like this before, or anything, to do this grossly with compliments, but I know that you were wondering, I know that you'd like to know, and this list even surprised me, so hopefully you get a few shocks and surprises along the way, and you get the information that you want. So let's just crack into it very quickly. So this is a top 20, because like I said, I don't know if I'm ever going to do anything like this again, but here is number 20. This is MDCI's Amber Topkapi. Right, okay, cool. This is a fragrance that I actually got from Essence this April, and it's lucky to even arrive on this list at number 20, but it has gotten me a lot of attention. It's a lovely, warming amber with a few spicy, resinous elements to it. It's quite light, but it's absolutely stunning. This is number 20. It's gotten a lot of compliments from me in a short period of time. So, number 19, I hope there aren't any riots in the comments, because I'm not going to lie, this surprised the hell out of me, the fact that this is so low, but there's probably a rational explanation to it. But this is La Malle by Jean-Paul Gaultier, and this is the original version. This is a 2007 formulation of La Malle. This is not the reformulated. I do have the reformulated as well, and the thing is with La Malle is this: it is so commonplace, it is so worn, that usually the only comments that I get are you wearing Jean-Paul Gaultier? That's it, basically. There's nothing overwhelming anymore about this fragrance. It's very lovely, it's very nice, but people aren't enthralled about it as they once were, because it's just so commonplace. And even now, I don't really get too many comments, I don't really get too many compliments from it. It's just, it's bog standard. It's a lovely little fragrance. I still really enjoy wearing it in the colder days of autumn, summer, sometimes the colder days, but whatever. Unfortunately, it's number 19. Number 18 is from the House of Rainier Perfumes. It is called Oud Rain. Now, like I said on my video, do fragrances even get compliments? Which, of course, the answer is pretty much a yes, or I wouldn't be doing this video. This has gotten me compliments and complaints. This has gotten me a vast array of comments just by wearing it over a very short period of time. Again, the reason why this is so low on the list, like the MDCI Parfums fragrance, I've only had this for about a year and a bit, but it's gotten a lot of attention, both good and bad. I've never really had a fragrance in my collection that has been that polarizing. So Oud Rain by Rainier Perfumes, that's definitely something to look at. Number 17 is from the House of Ferragamo. It is Ferragamo Uomo. This is such a great, comforting and lovely chocolatey fragrance. Some people find it a bit too high school, some people find it a bit too juvenile, but I really love it. I really have some good memories of it. And in Brighton, when I was studying at film school, this got a lot of comments. And I think that you have to be a little bit younger. I'm 27, I'm getting towards 30, I can still wear this, but if you're a younger man, if you're in your early 20s, if you're in your late teens, maybe up to your mid to maybe potentially pushing late 20s, in the autumn time, you can definitely wear this. This definitely gets a good amount of attention because it's just so likable, just so easygoing, and very popular, and it's got that chocolatey element. Number 16, this is probably one of the only times that you're going to see this ever in a fragrance apprentice list, but it is very good. This is Lotus's Issey-Miyake's Lotus Summer Edition 2012. Much like the 2009 edition, this is one of the greatest editions of the summer Lotus. I haven't really smelt many of the new versions. Why would I? Because I've got this. But this has gotten a tremendous amount of compliments. Maybe not as more as some of the other summer fragrances that I'm going to be showing you. But yeah, it's got a lot of love when people have talked to me about it. And yeah, it's just great. It's solid, it's summery, it's citrusy, it has freshness. It has a really good ethereal, watery component to it, mixed in with a bit of fruit. It's a great composition all round. If you can get this edition, I think this is one of the best editions of the summer Issey-Miyake's, the Lotus. So yeah, brilliant. Number 15 is another fragrance from the house of Rainier Perfumes. It is the infamous Kisses Rain. This does, like I said on the actual video, this has gotten me a good amount of compliments. I mean, it's not as huge a compliment getter as some of the others that are coming in, but I've had this for 3 years now. I've had this, and in the autumn when I do wear it, yeah, I've had some lovely comments. I've had some strong compliments from it. You see, the thing is that with the Rainiers, I don't know quite what it is. They just seem to have a strong attention, like they have a strong response from a lot of people. So I've had people who have literally smelt this and gone, wow, that's amazing, I would like to buy that. That's amazing, you know, I would actually wear that myself, you know. So that has been the kind of the deal with Kisses Rain. It's quite a wild fragrance. A lot of the Rainiers are quite wild in that way. It's not the biggest compliment getter that I have, admittedly, but, you know, the people who love it really love it, and I think that that's really a testament to kind of Rainier's work. You know, he doesn't make just kind of regular stuff. He makes stuff that is quite polarizing, and, you know, people are either going to really love it and really be into it, or they're going to really hate it. I've not had really any hate about Kisses Rain. It's not that kind of a fragrance to create that kind of thing from people, but yeah, it's great. Number 14 is from the house of Bulgari. It's the only one that's going to be on here, but it is, of course, Man Extreme. I've had this for a very long time, and I used to work in Harvey Nichols wearing this, and I would go to the pub wearing this. After I finished my shift at Harvey Nichols, and I would be wearing this one, and this would get a grand amount of attention. Probably one of the biggest and best out of the Bulgaris. I keep getting confused between those two. I was recently corrected that it is Bulgari. They just spell it with a Latin U, which looks like a V. But yeah, this would get a great amount of attention, and in 2013, which is a few years back now, admittedly, in 2013, this would have been my most complimented, because people just loved it whenever I wore it, and still today, when I do wear it as occasionally, it still gets a lot of love. Number 13 is a fragrance that you wouldn't maybe necessarily see or class as a compliment getter, but I think it's because I just wore it so damn much and I love it, and wore it a ridiculous amount between the years of 2014 and 2016, and that is Sativa from the house of Duetto. This was my first ever proper fragrance review that I took to a cinematic level. It's one of my proudest reviews I've ever done. I would ask you to go and watch that. It's a lovely review, brings back a load of great memories. This is basically like a heightened fruitier, richer version of Grey Vetiver. Grey Vetiver is very loose and watery, but this has really pushed up the vetiver, and it's got a good dose of Parma violets in here and some other florals that really give it just like this extra punch. And for the money as well, this is a very reasonably priced fragrance. I believe that it's greater than Grey Vetiver, and if you're looking, you know, forward to the future for spring fragrances, look at Sativa, for the love of God. I know that this is going to be one of my most watched videos of all time, so I say to you, viewer, please, for the love of God, give Sativa its due. I've been trying for years and years to push this fragrance because I have so much love for it. Give it a whirl. Give the House of Duetto a whirl. They're such a great house, and they make really brilliant, long-lasting scents. I've always loved them, and hopefully this video will finally get the message out there. So this is Sativa from the house of Duetto. We go from a fragrance that I'm incredibly passionate about and that I have a lot of love for, to a fragrance that I'm actually not that bothered about. It's Hugo Boss Red. I mean, it's fine. It's got this lovely, quite bizarre rhubarb note, along with some orange, like blood orange citrus. It's very bubblegummy, it's very poppy, it's very youthful. I don't think I'd really be able to wear it as much now. Maybe if I was on holiday, if I went to, like, I don't know, Miami, or I don't know, Jeslo in Italy, or somewhere like that was known for kind of wild, like Ibiza. I'd wear this to Ibiza, you know, because this is very young, this is very clubby, but it did get me a good amount of attention. Number 11, we are just piling through this. It's probably going to be one of the quickest lists I've ever done, and thank God. I knew that when I was going to do a top 20, I didn't want it to be like a 40-minute video, but here we go. This is number 11. This is Angel Men's Pure Tonka. Whenever I wear this in the autumn, yeah, you'll get a good amount of good amount of attention because it's warm, because it's comforting, because it's very cozy, extremely cozy. I didn't actually like this when I first smelt it, and I think I blind bought it just to complete my collection at the time. Wasn't a big fan, and I preferred things like Rochas Man and New Harlem, but this has really curved its own niche. It's very, very cozy, like incredibly cozy, very snuggly, and people will really gravitate towards that. And if you're in a coffee shop, reading a book and you've got your jumper on and you're looking a little bit retro, like myself sometimes, this really adds to the atmosphere. So a fantastic fragrance, a fantastic compliment getter for the autumn fall time. Okay, we're just absolutely rocking at this. This number 10 I think is going to be a little bit controversial. It's even a controversial choice in my mind, but this has gotten so much attention in an incredibly short amount of time. We're talking, I got this at Essence. I said that MDCI's Amber Top Capa is number 20. This is number 10, and I got this around about the same time. But the amount of, this is one to look out for if you're wanting compliments like one a minute or something like that, a ridiculous amount of compliments, and the quality of compliments if you're bothered about that. I have had open discussions with people about this fragrance. Like, people have smelt this on me and gone, what is that? Like, and then we've had a discussion about it. I've been like, oh well, I got it here. And people have wanted to know. People have wanted to know my expertise on it, and all these kinds of things. This has really caught the imagination of a lot of my friends and a lot of people that, I'm just around and that I'm networking with and all that kind of stuff. This is IOOF's Mirage 23. And yeah, this has been one of the greatest fragrances that I've got this year. I would describe it as the Italian Aventis. And I do think positively of this fragrance because it's not like a clone, like a rip-off or anything like that. This is obviously has taken influence. I believe, I could just imagine them saying, look, we want to try and do the Aventis thing. And the guy who actually perfumed this was like, okay, I get that and I appreciate it, but I want to lend my own voice to it. I want my own thoughts, I want my own feelings, because it's got that Aventis opening, but then it goes straight to like an old school kind of Italian neroli type fragrance, similar to what I was talking about recently, Vulgari Man, Wood Neroli, Acqua di Parma Colonia, Zegna's fragrance that's very similar. It's got that Italian fundamentalist fragrance backbone in it that really gives it a completely new dimension, and at that point it's no longer a clone, it actually becomes its own thing with that kind of blueberry, oak moss, musky undertone, just giving it levity and giving it groundedness. So this has gotten me a tremendous amount of attention, tremendous amount of compliments, high quality compliments. People have wanted to openly sit down and discuss with me, where did you get this, what is it, how much is it, where can I buy it? And that is a problem. The price point on this is pretty steep if you ask me. If you would like to see me do a review of this very soon, please tell me, because there's only so much time that we have left in the great outdoors where I feel that this is relevant to sunshine and warm weather. But if you really want me to give you an open review of this, please tell me down in the comments and I will do a review for you. Number 9, oh man, well, if it was up to me, this would of course be number 1, but it's not. But it's done pretty well for itself. This is Creed's Imperial. It's my personal favourite fragrance of all time. But, in the compliments section, I'm just going to be honest, this does very well, but the next fragrances are going to do even better. This is a happy, fun-loving, excitable, wonderful fragrance that is just filled with positivity, filled with happiness, and can really capture people and can really uplift the mood, especially on a sunny day like this. It's just perfect. This is in fact my scent of the day today, because today is just like a perfect day for it. But it's fantastic. Close but no cigar, only number 9. Number 8, some of you will be thinking to yourself, some of you will have been waiting for this fragrance, where is it? I hope that it hope it does well. It is of course 1 Million by Paco Rabanne. Yes, I don't wear it as often as I used to, and it's got the same problem as La Mal, where people just know what it is. But, people have actually become actively excited when they can smell this on me. It's weird, with La Mal, they're like, oh, you're Jean-Paul Gaultier. But people will go, oh, you're wearing 1 million. Oh, I used to love that fragrance. I loved it. And like people just feel like talk to me about their time at high school, or if it's a girl, like, oh, my old boyfriend used to wear this and whatever. So this has got a lot of history for people. For many people my age, this was the fragrance of the day. You know, I do like it. I do enjoy it. I've got a bottle of it. I use it sometimes, maybe if I'm going out. I have better fragrances, and I have fragrances that I relate to more, but it's always good to have. You're not really officially a fragrance collector if you don't at least have 1 million in your collection. Come on. Number 7 is from the House of Chanel, Allure Homme Sport. Need I say more? A fantastic fragrance in pretty much every circumstance, in the summer and in the spring. Yeah, I've had a great amount of attention from this. I remember my friend Megan actually saying, she smelt this on me, and I was like, what do you think? And she was like, this is exactly how you should smell. She's like, this is a perfect George smell. And I was like, well, thank you, Megan, I appreciate that. So yeah, it's got a lot of love, and again, it's weird because I would think that this would have the same problem as La Mal and 1 million, but people don't completely recognise it as much, actually. So with me, it just does great. Number 6, I feel a bit fucking cheeky putting this on the list because it's actively discontinued, and I'm really sorry. But this is me trying to get them to bring it back. It's Angel Men's Ultra Zest by Terry Mugler. We're now talking a tremendous amount. We're now talking about fragrances that, you know, if you just wear them openly, you know, you'll be just out, and people will just say to you, oh, what is that? You know, and this has got a stronger kind of thing. What is that? You know, like, where can I get that? You know, I've had a lot of women say to me, sounds awful actually, I've had a lot of women say to me, this smells great, I would love to buy it for my boyfriend, which may not be, for some of you, that may not be where you want it to head, you might not be where you want it to go, but, you know, I guess that does show that women do have an affection for this. So number 5, this is yet again a bit of a controversial pick, and the reason being is that it's actually innately a woman's fragrance. But damn, this has had... I'll just tell you this. Not 1, not 2, but 3 people have physically bought this fragrance because I have been wearing it around them. Right? I've even had one person who's a dude has sent me the picture and said, I've got this. I've had people try to steal this fragrance from me. Not literally, but like people like, yeah, I got to wear that. This has got an aura about it, and it's such a simple fragrance, so straightforward. It's very cheap. It's a woman's, but yeah, this has had a preposterous amount of love, preposterous amount of attention, and this is Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue for Her. And when you smell it, yeah, you totally get it, and it's got that magical ingredient ISOE Super, along with some nice fruity citruses, and this kind of ozone. It's like all of the conventional modern notes. You've got ISOE Super, you've got the aldehydes, you've got the citrus, maybe even some citron in there, not the car make, the actual the aroma chemical. And so it's kind of like an army of some of the most loved smells and aroma chemicals that that are known to man, and just thrown all in there. But yeah, I mean, it is amazing. It is amazing, and I do enjoy wearing it personally. But if you're a dude and you're scared of like, oh, it's a girl's fragrance, dude, you've got to liven up, right? Because this doesn't really smell feminine. It smells, if anything, very unisex. But the power that this has had over people, I've never really talked about it. I should really, but the power, the magnitude that this has, especially when I was in Harvey Nichols, I would sell this by the gallon. Because you just show it people, and people would just be like, oh, right. And they'd buy it back, like, right then and there. This has got a power of sell, right? It's incredible. And one of the most incredible things is that unless you show it to people, it hasn't really been like very well promoted. I think, you know, Dolce & Gabbana, they're really about the One series with women. You know, they actually really focus more on the light blue with the men's and, you know, the women's whatever. But this is far more powerful compliment-wise than the male version. This is the most complimented fragrance in easily Dolce & Gabbana's whole repertoire. And bar one, that is going to be coming up. This is the most complimented designer fragrance I've ever had. So it has the power, it is amazing. Check it out. This is Molecule 01. You can say what you want. I can't smell it, I don't really get it, what's it all about? I should do a video about this, and there's such misinformation about this fragrance, but give it a chance. You know, I mean, I'm going to tell you a story about Molecule 01. In London, Molecule 01 or Eccentric Molecules, they were doing a showcase to try and get Harvey Nichols to buy their stock to then sell it, right? They had a buyer's meeting. This woman didn't really get Molecule 01. She thought it was just ridiculous. She couldn't smell it on herself. She was wearing it, totally forgot about it, got on the tube that night to go home. 5 people on the tube asked her, "What are you wearing?" Next day, Molecule 01 was being sold in every Harvey Nichols store. Number 3, when we're talking about no jokes, when we're talking about fragrances, you know, greatest fragrances of all time. Actually, I could imagine that a lot of you probably think this would be number 1, and I could totally see why. I'm going to explain why I don't think it is, but I've had some tremendous amount of compliments. We're now going into some pretty explicit territory, which I will not get into, but I've had some good times with this fragrance. It is, of course, Aventis by Creed. Yeah, I mean, women absolutely adore this, women love this. It's got a sort of a mythology around it, but, you know, even in store, when I was working in Selfridges, when I was working in Harvey's, you know, there would be some very powerful comments about Aventis. I remember a woman saying to me, very beautiful woman who worked on Dermalogica, she said, "This is just how a man should smell." You know, it really is one of the greatest fragrances of all time. It's so powerful, gets a lot of attention from women. You know, I don't know what could ever dethrone it. So number 2, these fragrances just kind of get me compliments pretty much consistently every time I wear them. Yeah, I've had some good experiences with these fragrances. I'm just going to say that. Yeah, and they are very sexy, they're very romantic, they just do a lot of good things. And they're great. So my second most complimented fragrance of all time is from the house of Christian Dior, and it is called Fève Délicieuse. Now, I'm just going to say this, I hinted at this in the compliment video that I did a couple of weeks back, but here's the deal. This, along with my number 1, are kind of a little bit feminine, they're kind of chocolatey, they're kind of gourmandy, and they wouldn't be what you would classify as stereotypically masculine or manly fragrances, right? But on me, they do very, very well. And I think that's because I am, as you can see, or if you've seen my videos, I'm a bit flamboyant, I'm quite sensitive. One of my biggest hobbies is trying to work out how to make cinematic visualizations of fragrances, which is probably not the most, I know, quote-unquote, stereotypically masculine hobby in the world. So I have an effeminate kind of presence. Now, I adore women, love women, and that's my deal. But I do have that kind of energy to me. So this really works with my personality, and it intensifies my personality, and it works with my personality. Like I said, and I've said this a couple of times before, sometimes the fragrance chooses you rather than you choose the fragrance. You just have to kind of find a match between them. And it's got a lot of sweetness, it's got that bitterness with the pralines. It's just amazing. And yes, I have had some wonderful times with this fragrance. I've had ridiculously good compliments, ridiculously great attention, and, you know, I just feel at home wearing this fragrance. Number 1, though, my number 1 most complimented fragrance is, I wonder what you think it is. Yeah, I mean, me and this fragrance, we have had a long, interesting history together. But yeah, this is my shit, you know. And this will just, if I wear this anytime, I feel like a rock star, and I'm made to feel like a rock star. You know, it really has such an incredible power when it comes to me, when it bonds with me as a person. You know, I mentioned in my Oud Wood review, it's kind of like the Eddie Brock symbiote kind of relationship. You know, just the two things on their own, they're not really anything, but when you put them together, then, you know, you make magic. My number one, and this is official, this is in the books, this is it. My number one most complimented fragrance of all time, from the amount of compliments, from the quality of compliments. I've had women just say to me, "This, you just smell like pure sex," right, wearing this. I have had some very, very intense comments about this fragrance. It's from the house of Christian Dior. It's the old school, it's the original, it is Dior Homme. Again, with me, it's not conventionally masculine, but yet it's stylish, yet it holds its own. It's confident, it's provocative, yet it's sensitive. It's me. Or I like to think it has a lot of attributes. And even if I don't, if it was up to me, I'd want Millicent Imperial to be my number one, so that you'd really go for it. But no, this fragrance chose me. And the final point that I want to make, I don't know how long this video is going to be, but if you can take one big thing from it, is this. You know who I am, you know how I kind of work and what my hobbies are. I'm a filmmaker, I'm this, I'm that, and the other. I've just kind of told you. If you're a builder, if you're like a bald-headed builder dude who's very macho, who drinks 7 pints and is like, you know, manly, and, you know, goes to the gym and muscle bound and all that kind of stuff, and you're very, very stereotypically masculine, this may not get the same amount of attention for you as it does for me, because this complements who I am, right? For somebody else, this may be jarring. This may be like, you know, some guys can be wearing it. Some people will be like, why do you smell like makeup? Or why do you smell like this? You know, why do you smell all flowery and everything like that? But for me, it just totally works with who I am, and it intensifies and really bounces off of my personality. It coincides with it. So just a word of warning. In general, this is a sexy beast. It's an amazing fragrance. People do love it and people do adore it. It's in the books. It is my most complimented fragrance of all time. You know, I swear on my life it is. But, you know, there are some considerations that you should take. I wouldn't just blind buy it because I've said it's my number one. But if you've never heard of it, or you've never smelt it, or whatever, then you should definitely check it out. Anyway, that was my top 20 most complimented fragrances of all time. Wow. I hope that you've got the information that you wanted. I hope that you've enjoyed this list, and I hope that you've got something out of it. Anyway, I'm the Fragrance Apprentice. I've got a little surprise for you over the next... I've got a special guest tomorrow coming on. Her name's Alicia. I think that you'll really love her. She's going to be hosting the Compliment Factor with me, and she's going to be in a couple of videos. Yeah, it's going to be great. Anyway, I'm the Fragrance Apprentice. Hope you enjoyed this. I'm out.
The